welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to take a singular, truly monumental source of knowledge and just pull out the core wisdom, the stuff you need to really get these profound concepts. And today, we're taking on a massive mission. It's a deep dive into the underlying philosophy of what makes for enduring personal change.
And we are focusing on a book that has, it's really earned its status as a foundational text. It's not just another self-help guide. It's
Right.
what so many leaders, people like Warren Bennis, John Pepper, they've called it a genuine personal leadership handbook, a gift to the modern world, really.
It's a gift, yeah.
It's an opportunity for some pretty radical self-exploration.
That's the key word, isn't it? Exploration. Our goal today is to give you a shortcut, to get past all the techniques and the tips.
Yeah.
And get right to the foundational philosophical shifts. The kind of shifts you need for a success that doesn't just, look good on paper, but actually changes who you are.
From the inside out.
Exactly. We're looking for permanence here, not quick fixes. So let's unpack that first critical insight. The source material, it uncovered this by looking at success literature across, 2 centuries?
Yeah, since the late 1700s. And when you do that, you see this massive, a really startling pattern of change in how we've defined success.
So what was that original foundation? What did it all start with?
Well, for the first 150 years of American success literature, the foundation was rooted entirely in what we call the character ethic.
Character ethic.
Yeah, this was this unwavering belief that success, real success, it flows directly from integrating these core objective principles right into your basic character.
And what kind of principles are we talking about here?
We're talking about the big ones. Things like integrity, humility, fidelity, courage, justice, patience, and, fundamentally the golden rule.
So these weren't just nice ideas, they were seen as the bedrock.
The bedrock, exactly. Success was about being something, not just doing something. If you think about Benjamin Franklin's autobiography, it's basically a guide to integrating these very virtues. It's all about creating internal habits to build a character that is, unbreakable.
But then something happened. Shortly after World War I, that whole focus just shifted dramatically. Why? And what did it shift to?
It shifted to what we call the personality ethic. And this change really coincided with society becoming much more focused on image, public relations. And suddenly, success became a function of your personality, your public image, your attitude, your surface level behaviors. The literature started pushing all these skills and techniques that were designed to, as the source puts it, lubricate human interaction.
I feel like we see that everywhere today. Especially now in the era of social media. Success is so often defined by this polished image we present.
Oh, absolutely.
It's all about how you act instead of who you fundamentally are.
Precisely. And the problem is that these techniques, let's call them social band-aids, they might solve an acute problem for a moment.
Right, a quick fix.
But they leave the chronic underlying character issues completely untouched. And focusing on technique without genuine character, that's where you get into some really deep trouble.
So how does that play out in the real world, in relationships or business?
Well, it's the law of the harvest. It's a great analogy from the source. You simply cannot reap what you haven't sown. It's like trying to cram on a farm. You can't do it.
I like that. Cram on a farm.
If you try to use relationship techniques but you don't have integrity, everything you do, even if it's technically correct, it's just going to be seen as manipulative.
So the basic goodness has to be there first.
It has to give life to the technique. If you're fundamentally insincere, no amount of charm or positive thinking is going to overcome that deep-seated distrust people will feel.
That concept of ingrained distrust, it leads us perfectly into the next big idea, which is about perception.
Yes.
We have to talk about paradigms. These are essentially the maps we have in our heads, the lens we use to see the world.
Yeah.
And we have to get this distinction. The map is not the territory.
This is so fundamental, because if your map is wrong, no amount of effort is going to help you.
Right.
Imagine you're driving in a city you don't know, and your map is labeled Chicago, but it's actually a map of Detroit.
Okay, you're in trouble.
Big trouble. You could work harder, drive faster, think more positively, but all you're doing is getting to the wrong place faster. And maybe you're happier about it, but you're still lost. The very first requirement is an accurate map, an accurate paradigm.
And the power of the conditioning that creates these maps is just, it's almost impossible to overstate. You know that famous optical illusion? The drawing where you can see either a young woman or an old woman.
Oh, yeah, that's a perfect metaphor for paradigms.
Isn't it?
In these training exercises, you show one group a picture that conditions them to see the young woman just for 10 seconds. You show another group the old woman.
Okay.
And then when they all look at the combined drawing, they will literally see two different things. And they'll disagree on what is objectively there, but both of them are right based on their conditioning.
And if 10 seconds can do that, just imagine a lifetime of conditioning from your family, from school, from the social paradigms around us, like that personality ethic we talked about.
Exactly. It shows us that our paradigms are the source of our attitudes and our behaviors. Our behavior flows directly from how we see the world. And nothing shows the visceral impact of a paradigm shift quite like that subway story from The Source.
Oh, the noisy kids on the subway. That is such a powerful example of how judgment can just flip to compassion in an instant.
It's incredible. So a group of passengers are on the subway, and they're getting more and more irritated by these really loud, rambunctious children.
I think we've all been there.
For sure. And their father is sitting right there, but he's just staring blankly ahead, seemingly oblivious. So everyone's paradigm is one of judgment. He's insensitive. He's a bad parent.
Control your kids.
Exactly. And the irritation is just building. So finally, the narrator confronts the father, says something like, "Sir, your children are really disturbing everyone." And the father sort of looks up slowly with this dazed look and says, "Oh, you're right. I guess I should do something. We just came from the hospital where their mother died about an hour ago."
Wow. And just like that, every bit of irritation, all the judgment, it just vanishes.
Completely.
Yeah.
The paradigm of insensitivity was just shattered. The new paradigm, one of deep sympathy and compassion, it dictated the new behavior instantly. You don't have to try to feel compassionate.
The feeling just flows.
It flows automatically from the new way of seeing.
And the source tells us that to check our own subjective maps, we need to use these objective principles.
Yes. The principles are the lighthouses. They don't change. They're objective reality. Our maps might be flawed, but the lighthouse is always there.
Okay, so before we get into the habits themselves, we need a good working definition for success.
That's right. And that definition is effectiveness. And effectiveness is defined by the PPC balance.
PPC, production versus production capability.
Exactly. This is that famous concept from Aesop's fable, right? The goose and the golden egg. Everyone knows the story.
But we forget to apply it.
We forget to apply it. The insight is so simple. If you only focus on P, the golden eggs, the results, you will destroy PC, the goose, the asset that produces the results.
So if you work your team into the ground to hit a quarterly target, that's focusing on P.
And you destroy their morale, their capacity for future work, that's your PC. You're not effective in the long run. If you only focus on the financial golden eggs from your career without taking time to sharpen your skills, your PC,
you eventually burn out.
You burn out or become irrelevant.
And this is huge in relationships. If I just focus on getting a clean room, the production, by yelling at my kids, I might get the result. The P?
Right, for now.
But I've damaged their trust, their commitment. The PC, which means next time I'll have to use even more force.
Exactly. Effective leadership, effective parenting, it's always about balancing those short-term results with long-term capability. That PPC balance is the core of effectiveness.
So to put this in context, we use the maturity continuum.
Right. We move from dependence, which is you take care of me, to independence, which is I can do it myself, and finally to interdependence, we can cooperate together.
And this is a great moment to sort of push back on that cultural narrative, isn't it? We're so often taught that independence is the ultimate goal. You know, being self-reliant, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps.
That's a crucial misunderstanding. Independence is wonderful, it's liberating, it is absolutely necessary, but it is not the highest good.
Because life isn't independent.
Life is inherently highly interdependent. Marriage, family, organizations, communities. True success in those areas requires the more mature concept of interdependence. You need others, and they need you.
But the sequence matters.
The sequence is everything. You must achieve true independence, the private victory, before you can achieve true interdependence, the public victory.
So let's look at those habits for the private victory, starting with habit 1. Be proactive. What's the core idea here?
It's recognizing our fundamental human freedom to choose our response. This is Viktor Frankl's insight from the darkest of circumstances.
Right.
There is always a space, he called it the last of the human freedoms, between what happens to us, the stimulus, and how we respond. Proactive people live in that space. Reactive people just let themselves be controlled by feelings or their environment.
So if I get cut off in traffic, the other driver is the stimulus. But my reaction, whether it's road rage or just letting it go, that's my choice.
Precisely. Proactive people base their behavior on values they've chosen, not on circumstances. And this is so vital for relationships. It leads to this idea of love as a verb.
I love this concept because it just pushes back so hard against this romantic idea that love is just a feeling that comes and goes.
Right. If you treat love as a passive noun, a feeling, then when the feeling fades, you think, well, the relationship must be over.
But if you treat it as a verb,
If you treat love as a verb, something you do, you sacrifice, you listen, you empathize, you invest, then the feeling becomes the fruit of that action. Proactive people realize they are responsible for creating the feeling.
and practically being proactive also means focusing our energy on the circle of influence.
That's right. You focus your efforts on what you can actually control. Your own behavior, your attitudes, your paradigm. The circle of concern is everything else you worry about.
Other people's weaknesses, the economy.
All of it. Reactive people live in the circle of concern. Proactive people invest in their circle of influence, and what happens is their influence actually begins to grow.
Okay, building on that, we get to habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. This sounds kind of managerial, but it's really a deep act of personal leadership.
It is the first, mental creation. We create everything twice, right? First mentally, then physically. An architect creates detailed blueprints before a single nail is hammered.
You choose the destination before you start the journey.
Exactly. And this habit clarifies the huge difference between leadership and management. Management is about efficiency and climbing the ladder of success.
How fast can I climb?
Yeah. But leadership, which has to come first, is about determining whether the ladder is leaning against the right wall.
And the outcome of this habit is to create a personal mission statement, a personal constitution.
Yes. This is your unique set of principles. It's centered on what you want to be, your character, and what you want to do, your contributions. This constitution becomes an inner compass, so your decisions are driven by your values, not by, the latest trend or some immediate crisis.
Now, just for everyone following along, we are intentionally jumping past habit 3 and 4 here. They're vital, but we want to zero in on the one core emotional habit that really unlocks public success.
Right. The key to interdependence.
Which takes us straight to habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. And the source points out that most of us, we listen with the intent to reply.
Always. We filter everything through our own personal autobiography.
What does that mean exactly?
It means we project our own experiences onto the speaker. We're getting ready to interrupt, to advise, to judge, long before we've actually heard them. The alternative is empathic listening.
Listening to genuinely understand.
Genuinely, to feel, to sense, to intuit their frame of reference.
And why is that so powerful?
Because it satisfies the greatest human need after physical survival, which is psychological survival. When you listen empathically, you're giving the other person psychological air.
Psychological air. I like that.
They feel validated, affirmed, understood, and only when they have that psychological air are they open to receiving advice or logic from you.
It reminds me of the doctor who tries to prescribe before they really know the problem. The source talks about a doctor who almost gave the wrong prescription because he didn't confirm the patient's age.
That's it, exactly. The principle is universal. Diagnose before you prescribe. A salesperson can't sell a product until they understand the client's need. A parent can't solve a teen's problem until they genuinely understand the emotional landscape.
If you jump straight to the prescription, you just lose all trust.
You lose trust and effectiveness. And when you are finally ready to be understood, the source links back to this classic sequence for influence from Greek philosophy.
Right. Ethos, pathos, logos.
In that order. Ethos is your personal credibility, your character, the trust you inspire. Pathos is the emotional, empathic side, the relationship, the feeling that you truly understand them.
And only N.
Only once ethos and pathos are established is your logos, your logic, your reasoning going to be accepted. If you skip the empathy, your perfect logic just sounds like noise.
Okay, so finally, we turn to the habit that makes all the others possible, the one that sustains growth. Sharpen the saw.
Yeah.
And we have that vivid image of the man sawing down a tree, so busy cutting that he has no time to stop and sharpen his saw.
Habit 7, Sharpen the Saw, is the personal PC investment. It's about preserving and enhancing your greatest asset.
It's not optional.
It's not optional. It's the only habit that makes the others possible, and it requires this balanced self-renewal across 4 interconnected dimensions.
So what are those 4 dimensions we need to invest in?
First is the physical dimension. This means effective care for your body, nutrition, rest, and regular exercise. And not just a walk now and then. We're talking about focusing on aerobic endurance, flexibility, strength.
It's a real commitment.
It's a non-negotiable commitment, a minimum of 3 to 6 hours a week. That's the required investment to maintain your physical goose.
The second is the spiritual dimension. This deals with our core values, our perspective.
This could be anything from immersion in music, time in nature, prayer, meditation, whatever connects you to your personal center. There's a great little framework from Arthur Gordon's story. Listen carefully. Try reaching back to simple joys. Examine your motives, and finally, write your worries on the sand.
Acknowledging that most of them will just wash away.
Exactly. These practices just maintain that inner peace and direction.
Third, the mental dimension. Keeping the mind sharp.
Your formal education stops, but your self-education should not. This means disciplined reading of good literature. Maybe a commitment to 1 book a month and writing. Journaling, drafting clear letters. If you don't read, you're no better off than someone who can't.
And finally, the social-emotional dimension, which is what sustains our interdependence.
This is where we focus on making constant deposits into the emotional bank account of others.
The currency of
It's
trust.
the currency of trust. Small acts of kindness, keeping commitments, and especially demonstrating personal integrity. That means you treat everyone the same, whether they're present or not.
Avoiding that kind of duplicity is key.
So the entire journey then is truly an inside-out approach. You shift the paradigms, you build genuine character, you achieve that personal independence, and only then can you move to effective, trustworthy interdependence.
Absolutely. And the synergy is incredible. Improving your physical PC directly helps your mental clarity, for instance. The habits all work together.
They really do. So to wrap up this deep dive, we want you to consider the greatest current challenge in your own circle of concern. Maybe it's a strained relationship, a financial worry, a feeling of just time scarcity. Which foundational paradigm shift, the character ethic, the practice of proactivity, or the discipline of seeking to understand, which one would you need to address in yourself right now to initiate some true quantum change in that situation?
Because growth is never meant to be easy.
Yeah.
That struggle is what gives the reward its value. As Thomas Paine wisely said, that which we obtain too easily, we esteem too lightly.
So true.
Embrace the difficulty. It's required for this kind of inner work.